There are solutions to the deepest structural problems we face globally as a species that could be implemented right now that I'm excited to share in this video. But first, let's name the problems real quick. We all know that we need to shift from our current societal norm. We're trashing the earth and depleting the soils. The old grid's energy is based in burning a fuel that doesn't renew very quickly and that we could run out of any day now. But what a lot of people don't realize is that the current off-grid green transition of solar, wind, biofuels, and the like is not realistic. It's not efficient enough to work for the 8 billion people on this planet. The resources required of many of these technologies like lithium and cobalt aren't abundant. And the land we would need to grow the grains and the beans for the biofuel to replace the gas and the diesel doesn't exist. So we need something else. A new energy system with abundant raw materials and a completely different manufacturing paradigm whose main priority is nurturing the sovereign wellness of all the people on the planet and the planet by which we all exist. And according to the geophysicist Simon Michaux, in partnership with the Venus Project's vision of moving towards a resource-balanced economy, the new grid is a thing. A very doable option that's based on 4 main technologies. The first one is how we create energy. The second one is how we deal with our most personal waste, the duty of our duty. The third one is how we transport goods from the city, and the fourth one is how we transport ourselves, no matter the status of the old grid. So to go a little deeper, the first technology that we'd use to create energy is a molten salt reactor, which is basically a liquid chemical reaction battery that uses the abundant materials of thorium and fluoride. It's an energy creation device that can be as small as a 40-foot shipping container and makes about 800% more energy than the masses use today in the Western world. It's a nuclear-like system, but it creates very little waste, 4%, of which half of that can be recycled and the other half breaks down in 300 years, in comparison to the 95% waste of nuclear reactors that takes 100,000 years to break down. Also, it has a self-regulating mechanism to keep it from getting too hot. And it's a liquid fuel system and not a solid fuel system like nuclear is. So it can't get too hot and become a meltdown like what happened in Fukushima. The second technology innovation that will ultimately be a solution for dealing with our poop is actually another energy source. It's a process of heating iron into rust instead of using coal. And the epicness of this one is we can turn the rust back into iron and use that same powder again and again by removing the oxygen from the rust using hydrogen and carbon monoxide, which can be made from human poop in a pyrolysis machine. Talk about closing the loop. The third technology of the new grid is another energy source that takes the hydrogen from the previous iron rust poop process and uses the iron catalyst to turn the hydrogen and the superabundant resource nitrogen into ammonia, to make an easy-to-store and ship internal fuel combustion engine that can be used for transport of goods, but not people, because ammonia is toxic at room temperature for humans. And then the fourth energy source is batteries, made from resources that are abundant, like sodium, fluoride, and zinc, for electric vehicles that people can drive out of the city. But we would need to keep this to a minimum because the batteries still need a little bit of scarce resources like copper, graphite, and nickel. So intelligent design of a city means in the city we're using bikes predominantly and electric railways when biking isn't an option. And with these technologies and many, many others, a new grid hub will be formed. Technologies like site-specific desalination of seawater that uses the steam for more power and the minerals for manufacturing, and collapsing the global manufacturing paradigm of getting pieces from all over the world into one shed. And global support projects like taking plastic and rubber pollution and turning that into fuel with a pyrolysis machine, or taking mineral waste and turning it into feedstock for 3D printers. And an overall intelligent design of human settlement that makes access to collective needs and symbiotic wants easy and free for everyone in the collective. With all of this, a new grid initiative will be formed that will be an example city that's a technology innovation hub and a research institute. It has been referred to as the Chrysopoeia Institute. Chrysopoeia meaning taking base materials and turning them into gold. It'll be a city of 10,000 scientists, engineers, technicians, and just activated people and their families, ready to represent a new way, a way whose focus is the sovereign wellness of each individual and the collectively agreed upon efficient management of the Earth's resources, basically a true economy, instead of the anti-economy that is capitalism. So, if you're as inspired as we are, then learn more about this initiative by watching the videos linked in the description. Thanks for watching. Peace.
We getting these gains.
Hey!
Symbiotic abundance for all.